Every photographer wants to create images that mean something to them. On my own journey, I found that there are some things we can do to increase our chances of this, and they have nothing to do with gear or technical ability.
We see photography as a visual art form, and of course it is. We look around us, and when we see something that really interests us, we photograph it. But one of the key ingredients I've found to creating really meaningful and emotive images is when we can connect with and engage all of our senses.
I have created a downloadable audio file to guide you through an exercise that teaches you how to do this. There'll be more about this at the end of the video, but for now, let me lead you on a stimulating photographic journey using the sense of touch. Besides holding and feeling your camera in your hands, touch may not be something you associate with photography, but I've found that when it's safe and appropriate to do so, touching our photographic subjects can open us up to a whole new world of photographic opportunities.
Take this for example. When we look at this from afar, we can see what's there, and we're very much aware of the lines and the shapes within it. But when we actually allow ourselves to touch that area and feel the roughness and the texture of everything here, we stimulate so much more within our body than just our eyes. What that does is it triggers our curiosity. You begin to become fascinated by what you're looking at and see it in much more depth. And also, as you're touching things, other areas of your body begin to get stimulated. So you're not just seeing something and going, oh, that looks like an interesting image, I'll photograph that. You're really starting to embody the experience and also bring up those emotions and sensations within you so that you can really connect with your subject and embody the experience. And the more I get close to this and touch it and look around and become really curious about it, I begin to see so much more elements of it. You know, initially I was just very much drawn to this bit here, but now that I'm here, I'm seeing areas that I wasn't seeing before. There's a tiny little black snail here, which is just adorable. And there's two other snails here, which are just, we're not even, oh my God, there's loads of them. There is loads of them. And then as I look here and I see some of the stuff that's here, but from a different angle, and then, oh my goodness, there's so much here. If I hadn't have got down here right now to film this piece to camera, but most importantly, to touch this and feel it and look at it more closely and engage the sense of touch, I wouldn't have then been led on this journey to see all these other opportunities here.
When we only use our eyes to sense a subject, we can still come away with images that we're happy with. But if we want our images to really shine, combining our vision with our other senses can unlock our true photographic potential. The first thing I noticed upon touching the rock was the countless barnacles. The sheer number, along with how rough they felt, truly fascinated me. The snails were the next thing to catch my attention. I had not been aware of these until my hand began to inspect the rock. Each snail had its own character. My favourite snail image is this one here. I love that it is slightly blurred, given a painterly, artistic look. The fascinating thing about this exercise was that touching the rock made me very curious, which led to many new photographic opportunities. These new discoveries then led me to be further curious about what I was touching. The camera then became a tool to help me see what the eye could not, unearthing many shapes and creatures I had not been aware of before. Seeing the limpets lined with barnacles reminded me of craters on the moon. or prehistoric creatures that only my imagination could possibly comprehend. In some images, the combination of limpets and barnacles also reminded me of aliens that you could only ever imagine in a sci-fi film. If I had not touched this rock, I would not have been drawn into this imaginary world, leading me on to seeing all of these thought-provoking and imaginative creatures. The greatest surprise for me, however, was when I realised that some of the barnacles resembled chicks in a nest, waiting patiently for their mothers to come back with their food. When we take the time to slow down and really feel into our subjects, it is amazing what images we can find and create. To support you in doing this for yourself, I've created a guided audio file entitled 5 Senses Activation, which is now available to download from the Photographic Connections website. The 5 Senses Activation can be used whenever you're out with your camera to help you slow down and connect more deeply with your chosen location, leading to the creation of more emotive and meaningful photographs. To download your copy, you can find a link in the video description or by heading to photographicconnections.com/5-senses-activation. The link also includes a free video telling you more about the recording and a short sample clip to enjoy too. May the resource support you on your journey forwards. Following the creation of the rocky images, I became very reflective about my own photographic journey and sat down to explain further why using all our senses can massively enhance our photography.
I've been doing photography now for 15 years, and in that time I've been on my own incredible journey photographically, beginning with some of your more general landscape photography and then leading up to wildlife and then doing astrophotography and ICM and multiple exposures. And macro photography has become something that I've become so interested in the last few years. But it's been interesting in that time seeing my own photographic journey, but also with supporting other people on their journeys, whether that's been through workshops or mentoring and other things that I've done over the years. Because quite often I see people, and I've been in this situation myself many times, where you come on location and you really struggle to see photographic opportunities. And in those moments, we are often just engaging our eyes and we're looking around and we're just sort of like, I feel uninspired today, or I'm not really seeing anything that I feel is worth photographing. But the truth is, there is literally photographic opportunities everywhere. It doesn't matter what the weather's doing, it doesn't matter what location you're at. There's opportunities everywhere. And one of the keys I really feel is being able to engage our other senses. If we close our eyes and we listen around us and we can hear things. Where I am today, when I do that, I can hear the waves, I can hear birds tweeting. When the wind gets up, I can hear the breeze of the winds against some of the grasses around me. When I engage the sense of touch, whether I'm physically touching subjects like this, or whether I take my shoes off and I walk barefoot on the sand, suddenly my body is stimulated in different ways, and suddenly I see so many more photographic opportunities because I'm not just using my eyes. And the same thing can be said for smell. You can be walking around and suddenly you get this aroma and you realise there's some flowers nearby that you didn't notice, but the smell alerted you to them. And here right now there is the smell of the sea, of course, but there's also the smell of much of the seaweed and that around me, which actually, when I start to look at that in depth, there's so many opportunities to photograph within that too. One thing I found though is if you're not used to engaging and using your other senses consciously, it can be challenging to begin with because some people can find it quite overwhelming, but other people can also find it challenging to feel anything or to see the difference that it makes. But one thing I've realised in my own journey is that something like this, when you touch something initially you may not feel anything, but then the more you do it and the more you feel into it, it becomes such a stimulating experience, and then it draws you in further. That takes practice, and often exercises that allow us to engage with our senses when we're not doing photography. Then when we apply that to our photography, will allow us to enhance the experience and be able to do this when we're in the field with our camera.